What's going on, everybody? It's Lando, and welcome to season number 2 of Lando Sports Discussions, divisional breakdowns. But we're doing things a little different. I had recorded a whole series and everything like that. And when I was going into the editing, I found out that my microphone was malfunctioning, so I just didn't have time to do all 32 teams all over again because the season's about to start. So this season is going to be, I'm going to call this 32 teams in 32 minutes, where I'm going to give you a 1 minute evaluation about every single team from all the research that I did. So it's not going to be as in depth as it was last season, but I'm going to get into some of the things that happened last season and then go into the breakdown. All right, if you're new to this, last season, what I did, I broke down every single division and gave my prediction on whether they're going to finish over or under their Vegas win totals. Last season, I went 20 and 32. So if you would have bet on every play that I made or that I predicted, you would have finished positive at 62%. And there was 4 teams that I missed by a half game. So a half game over or under, they finished right around where they probably should have. But when it comes to how we did, I think we did great last season. So my worst takes, though, were the Vikings, missed that badly. Also, the Broncos missed that badly, as well as the Jaguars missed that badly. My best picks, in my opinion, were the Jets, hit that pretty much right on the head. San Francisco hit that pretty much right on the head, as well as the Bears pretty much hit that right on the head. And all the issues that I thought they were going to have ended up coming to fruition. So with this, again, it's 32 teams in 32 minutes. So I'm going to give a 1 minute evaluation on every single team and tell you whether they're going to finish over or under their win totals. This episode is going to be all NFC teams, and then next episode will be all AFC teams. And then also, if you tune into the Between Brothers podcast, which is on YouTube as well as anywhere you may listen to podcasts, you will get my predictions on the awards, also my brother's predictions on the awards, as well as who we think is going to go to the Super Bowl and ultimately win the Super Bowl. And so, lastly, before we get into these, I'll tell you how I did everything as far as their breakdowns. I break down every unit, come up with an overall grade for the teams. I also added head coaching as a factor into this. So that way, because I think the ones that I missed on like really badly, I didn't factor in how good the head coaching was or the coaching in general was. So adding that into that, with all those things combined, I give it a number, give it a grade based off the number, and hopefully the teams are as good or as bad as I think they are for when it comes to my predictions. So yeah, that's how the breakdowns go. So we'll go ahead and get into these teams. We're starting with the NFC East. All right, in the NFC East, we're going to start with the Dallas Cowboys, America's team. They were the worst roster in football, according to my evaluation after the Micah Parsons trade. The best unit are the wide receivers with Pickens and Lamb. I'm sorry. Dak is coming off of a big leg injury, lower body injury, and the offensive line isn't very good. And he's probably not as mobile as he used to be. I think he's declined in his running ability every year for the last 3 or 4 years since his last leg injury. So the defense isn't very good either on paper. And so this roster isn't a very good roster. So this team got a 69 D plus from me. So they're over under being at 7.5. I'm going under 7.5 wins.
You really want to hurt me?
You suck!
Next, we're going to the New York Giants. The Giants, Russell Wilson, he's my dude. I am praying for the Giants' downfall because I enjoy watching Giants fans suffer because they picked Daniel Buns of Plenty Jones over Saquon Barkley, who could have been the MVP last season. I don't know how you watch Saquon Barkley play football and think that Daniel Jones is the option you should move forward with. But anyways, so the offensive line is still bad, even with Andrew Thomas. He should be coming back early this season. And then you also have Malik Neighbors, who's a stud. Outside of that, offensively, they don't really have much. On the defensive side, D-line is incredible, and they just got Carter drafted. They just drafted him alongside Burns, Thibodeau, and Dexter Lawrence. They should be formidable. So overall, I give them a 73 C minus. And I'm hoping that they compete for the worst record in football. So I'm definitely going under their win total. Under for the New York Giants.
Do you really want to
Suck.
hurt me?
You suck!
All right, now let's go to the Washington Commanders. Even with all the drama surrounding the city, I still think that this team is a solid team. They were my pick to get over, so hit on that, as well as Offensive Rookie of the Year, hit on that. But I don't think that they have enough things that can be replicated from season to season. 87% on fourth down, 20 out of 23 fourth down attempts. I don't think that can be replicated. There's also the drama with Terry McLaurin throughout the offseason, even though he got signed. I'm not sure how that's going to affect the locker room. And then also, I just think that this team is due for regression because they didn't really pick up a lot of pieces that makes me feel good about this team. And I also still don't trust the coaching, though I love Jaden Daniels. So this team, I'm going under 9.5 wins, and I gave this team a B minus, an 80 B minus. And lastly, for the NFC East, we got the Philadelphia Eagles. So they were the best team I evaluated, and I'll give their grade at the end of this segment. But they are far and away the best team in this division, so they should easily win this division. They are the reigning Super Bowl champions, so you got to give them props for that. And they had no drama in the offseason. So that's also something that is huge when you're talking about repeating, similar to what Kansas City almost never has, is drama in the offseason. So they have arguably a top 5 corner in Quinyon Mitchell, and then Cooper DeJean is fantastic. They got arguably the best linebacker in football, the best line in football, the best defensive line in football, the best running back in football, arguably the best wide receiving core in football. There's no reason why this team shouldn't be competing for a Super Bowl once again and easily hitting over their 11.5 number. And I gave them a 96A, best team I evaluated in my research. Let's go to the NFC South, who I believe is the weakest division in football, and I think my grades came out to be that. I am a big Baker Mayfield hater. The loss of Liam Cohen, I think, is going to affect this team a lot. The dude threw 41 touchdowns last season, but he did complete a lot of passes behind the line of scrimmage. Not sure how that's going to work for him because he did manage to still throw 16 interceptions, leading the league in passes completed behind the line of scrimmage by a wide margin. The offense is very talented, and Wirfs, I think he's going to be out for a couple games, but the offensive line is still very, very good. Defensively, they have a lot of holes, in my opinion. Antoine Winfield Jr. is still a very, very good safety. But outside of that, I don't think the defense has much. So I gave this team a 84B, and I'm going under their 9.5 number. Under. And it's mostly because I don't think Baker's going to perform as well. Next up are the Atlanta Falcons. So they disappointed me last year because I felt like they were going to be able to overtake the division, and they didn't because of a lot of issues, specifically Kirk Cousins. So they finally did something to address the defensive line, but they've tried that before and it hasn't worked. So they still have a lot of question marks on defense. Now, if you're thinking about the offense and them being able to play and dominate in the offense, you got Bijan Robinson, you got Algier, you got Drake London. The big question mark is the two big question marks they have on offense are is Michael Penix going to actually be a solid quarterback? And I think that's all they need when it comes to their offense, as well as is Kyle Pitts finally going to make it work? Because he's been struggling and people have kept blaming it on the quarterback, but for some reason Drake London is still performing well and Kyle Pitts has not. So that being said, I got this team at an 82 B minus, and I'm picking them to go over their 7.5 win total. All right, the Carolina Panthers are next. Professional bettors really love this team, and they are picking them to go over their number. Just to get that out of the way, I'm a little bit on their side slightly just because I think the team has gotten better. The only thing is I don't think that Bryce Young is particularly going to be significantly better because the weapons on the outside aren't necessarily better. And quarterbacks, I can't think of a time where a quarterback didn't have great weapons and got significantly better. So not saying they can't win. It's just that they necessarily don't get better, which is what Bryce Young needs to do. The defense is still really bad. Chuba Hubbard is still, probably a top 10 running back. So they should rely heavily on the running game. They need players on the outside. They need better defensive players. But overall, that 6.5, I'm leaning over. I think this team can get to 7 wins. But their grade, I give them a 73 C minus for the Carolina Panthers. Lastly, for the NFC South, we got the New Orleans Saints. So I think they have the worst quarterback situation in football. Talent-wise, I think the worst quarterback situation is the Browns. But talent, they don't have much talent at all. Alvin Kamara is aging. Hopefully, Chris Olave has recovered from those concussion issues that he had last year, and he's going to be back healthy. A lot of times when guys get concussions, they tend to continue to get concussions. But he's a stud at wide receiver, excellent player. Defensively, they did not get better. They lost Tyrann Mathieu as well, so their grade dropped for me due to that, my evaluations as well. So they were the second worst roster I evaluated, and I also don't think they got significantly better at head coach. But so I think that this team will be competing for the worst record in football and going into that Archie Manning sweepstakes if he's going to even be the number 1 overall pick. So the under is an easy under for me. This is a 3 or 4 win team, and their grade is a 70 C minus.
You really want to hurt me.
You suck!
Now let's go to the NFC West. They were one of my best picks last season because I felt like everything that was going on in the offseason was going to rear its ugly head during the regular season, which it did. They did have injuries, they did have drama, and they did have Brock Purdy trying to carry this team. They lost Debo. I don't really think that's much of a loss. Ayuk is supposed to be out to like halfway through the season around there. But I do think the receivers are good enough to play well enough to keep the offense afloat. George Kittle is still there, so as long as he's healthy, they're going to be great. Christian McCaffrey is going to be coming back and healthy. They still have one of the best players on the line in Joey Bosa anchoring that. They also got Fred Warner, arguably the best linebacker in football. So I think that defensively, especially with getting Robert Saleh back, they're going to be fine. They also have the weakest schedule in football. So with that being said, I can see this team running away from that 10.5 win mark. Their overall grade is an 86B, as I'm picking over 10.5 wins. Now the Rams, I've slightly changed my position on them because of the Matthew Stafford back issues. Old guys with back issues usually don't get better after time. So hopefully he can heal up. Puka Nacua is excellent. Also picking up Devontae Adams, who's still a good receiver. So I think the receiver's going to be good. As long as Kyron Williams can not fumble the football, I think the offense is going to be just fine, especially under Sean McVay. Defensively, I'm really not sold on Jared Verse being this like elite guy. Mainly because I might just be too hyped up on him only having 4.5 sacks as an edge rusher. But like this Aaron Donald comparison, things of that nature, I'm not really buying it right now. Maybe he is that, and I just didn't see it. I know he was really good analytically, according to PFF.com. So maybe he's better than I think, and I have no issue with being wrong. But the defense, I think, is solid enough. I gave this team an 85. As long as Stafford can get healthy, I think they or stay healthy, I think they can hit over their 9.5 win total. Now we move on to the Arizona Cardinals. So I was right about them hitting over their total, but them making the playoffs, I missed on. They were really close. They even led the division for a while, and then they kind of fell apart. Marvin Harrison Jr. did not live up to the hype. Hopefully he improves, or he has improved in the offseason, mainly because the drama is gone when it comes to surrounding him and the draft stuff and everything like that. McBride is a top 5 to top 7 tight end. Connor is the best tackle breaking player in football. That is not an argument. He actually is statistically the best tackle breaking running back in football. Now, that defense is still not good. The only player I can think of that's really good and he's declining is Budda Baker. So they have some issues defensively. Their coach is a defensive coach, so hopefully he can coach them up. But Kyler Murray has to step it up and be that MVP caliber player that he was before he got hurt. So hopefully they can get this season going. But for now, I'm going under their win total, mostly because San Francisco, I think, is going to be a very good team. And their overall grade for me was a B minus. B minus and under their win total. Finally, Seattle. I was way off on them last season, one of my worst picks. But the line looks bad on paper, but I heard that the beat writers talking about like, hey, like the line is actually performing really well. I'll just have to see it. JSN, he's most likely going to be the number 1 target and emerge as a top 10 wide receiver alongside Cooper Kupp. I think the receiving core is solid. The running backs are, one of probably the 5 best running back tandems in football in Walker III and Charbonnet. I hope I said his name correctly. Now, the defensive talent outside of defensive back isn't really all that good. But, of course, Mike McDonald knows how to scheme guys up. So I do trust the coaching. I do not trust Sam Darnold. And even I'll be okay with losing betting against Sam Darnold again. So I'm going under their win total, and I gave this team an 81 B minus. Saving the best for last, not the best team, but the best division, and that is the NFC North. So we're going to start with the Detroit Lions. They were the second best roster that I evaluated in football. They did lose some offensive linemen, which has been the strength of this team since Dan Campbell has gotten there. But I don't think one was to retirement and the other one was to due to free agency. So retirement, older guy, I'm not tripping off of losing that guy. They have Jared Goff, who's been playing top 10 football. Is Ben Johnson or losing Ben Johnson going to be a big deal? I personally don't think so, because that team was built off of the running game. Jahmyr Gibbs is fantastic, as well as Montgomery. Best 1-2 punch in football. The offensive line is still excellent. Penei Sewell is still the best right tackle in football. Defensively, they have no weaknesses, in my opinion. And also Aiden Hutchinson is going to be back. So overall, I think this team should be competing with Philadelphia for the top seed and also in the NFC Championship game. And I gave this team a 94 overall rating, hitting over 10.5 wins this season. Green Bay Packers. Adding Micah Parsons was a huge, especially for a defense that was already very good last season. They did lose Jair Alexander, but McKinney was the best defensive back on the team, even though he played safety. I think the younger defensive backs or the younger corners are good enough to fill in his role, even though I love Jair. So I think they'll be able to adjust. Now, the Packers, they got to get their hands right. Their wide receivers dropped a lot of balls last year. I think they were fourth in the league in drop percentage. Also, Jordan Love did struggle, but he did have injury early in the season, and he did have to use some time to recover. And hopefully he's 100%. Malik Willis, I think. I don't know why his last name is drawing a blank to me, but he did good in the spots where he had to be good at. So I think that the running game is also very strong. It's just the wide receivers need to catch the ball a little better, and the defense is overall good enough. So overall, I gave this team an 85B, but I have them going over their win total. Not buying the Super Bowl total, though. Over their win total. Last season, we got the Chicago Bears and their issues. Everything was correct about them. So this season, how they're going to do now? They got Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson knows the Lions well, so he'll be able to scheme up against them defensively. Even though actually maybe not because of the change at the defensive coordinator position. But with that being said, they did a ton to improve the offensive line, which was their weakest unit last season. But now they still didn't get much at running back. The wide receivers are still fantastic, and I think are going to improve. I think Caleb Williams is going to improve, especially on the footwork portion of it, now that the offensive line is better. Defensively, I'm not really all that high on them. PFF is higher on their linebacker core than I am. And it was weird because their evaluation didn't really show that they should be as high on them as they are. But overall, I don't trust the head coach specifically, but I think Dennis Allen is a very good defensive coordinator. I think the defense should be at least decent enough for them to win games, and the offense should be great. So I got them going over their win total, making the playoffs. I got them graded as a B minus 80. B minus. Last team we're evaluating, the Minnesota Vikings. They had a fantastic year last year. My worst pick last year because I had them as one of the worst teams in football. They ended up being the second best team in football record-wise. So I don't think they're going to replicate that. I think even though their coaching was excellent, I just don't think J.J. McCarthy is a solid football player, especially him being a rookie coming in. I just don't think that he's Jaden Daniels type of talent. There's going to be the jury out on him. He does have an excellent supporting cast. The offensive line is good. The wide receiver is top 5 in the game, and my favorite wide receiver, Justin Jefferson, is still arguably the best in the game. So that being said, the coaching is going to make sure that this team is prepared. I'm just not sure if they're going to be as good as they were last season, especially with everything that the other teams have done to improve. So I gave this team an 85B, but I got them missing the playoffs and going under their win total because I'm not a fan of J.J. McCarthy. He's really the weak link of this team, in my opinion. All right, that's it. That's the NFC. I don't think I hit 1 minute each team. I think I was maybe a little over on a few teams, but 32 teams in 32 minutes, 32 minute-ish, I guess you could probably change it to. But that's my evaluations. Please, anybody who's a fan of these teams or a fan of football, like this, comment where you agree, comment where you disagree. And I look forward to seeing y'all tomorrow for the AFC breakdown. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. This has been Lando Sports Discussions.